Hello, let me share my new experiment with you. This time I've tried and adjusted the new weaving technique, wrapping, to our material, paper tubes or paper osier. In the book, The Technique of Weaving Domestic and Decorative Items with Osier Materials, section With or Band Weaving Technique, there are a few weaving options, nodular and ethnographic weaving. As for ethno weaving, the author divides it into normal tight wrapping, long short wrapping, and loose wrapping. By the way, our fishtail root weaving is one of the options of these wrapping techniques. Now I've tried and used long and short types of wrapping techniques, so let me share what I've got. Well, I wouldn't call this technique completely new for myself. Once I've got to know wonderful weaver Yelena. Her works inspired me to try and weave an item like this with corn leaves. I've been always attracted to natural materials. However, it is a long and laborious process to get them prepared. I admire those masters who do, but why not try and apply the technique to our material? As for the first items I've tried in this technique, I've started weaving them in the same way as the items created in root weaving technique. You can watch the way I've started in the first tutorial on root weaving. Well, such a way to begin does have the right to exist. It is quite appropriate for our type of weaving. However, after some thinking, I've decided it is better to start with wrapping as well. So I propose you the following option. Please note that at first I used a single tube as a base, but I disliked the result. That's why I've decided to use double tubes as a base and a single tube to wrap with. So take 3 tubes prepared beforehand. The tubes optimal for this type of weaving are more hollow than the ones we use as a rule. They've been wrought of the stripes 7-8 centimeters, about 3 inches wide, round a knitting needle of size 2.5, or 13 for United Kingdom, 1 for USA. The tubes were painted long ago with a wood stain, mixed with some water and a spoon of varnish. Before I start weaving, I sprinkle them with water with some fabric softener. So I work with 3 tubes, neither wet nor dry. Unite 2 tubes, adjoin the third one and start wrapping. I personally wrap in this direction, but actually it is up to you. Then I adjoin these tails carefully this way in order to hide them. As a result, I've got an edge like this and start wrapping. Make a turn. Continue this way for a while, after which I'm going to unite the tubes. It is the way we are getting short wrapping. Let's start introducing some elements of lawn wrapping, involving the previous row. At first just a join and wrap. In the first rows we act as follows: one long stitch, then one short stitch. I lengthen the tube in the same way as I do in root weaving, cut the end at a very sharp angle, drop a bit of dragon glue, and connect the tubes in order to hide the joint. And continue a short stitch, then a long one. A short stitch and a long one. So far in the first row I'm weaving this way. If your tubes are well prepared, the stitches lie smoothly with no pinches. After I finish the first row, in contrast to root weaving, I don't lead a tube under a knot, but through the gap between the rows instead. Since there is widening, now I'm performing 2 short coils each time, and lead a tube under the previous row, where there was a short coil. Lead out and get a long stitch. 2 coils of short wrapping and the next loop is long. It is the way we act at the beginning. In the following row I'm going to perform 3 short coils. After performing 3 short coils, it would be reasonable to make 4 short coils and 1 long coil in the next row. However, I've tried different options and I prefer shaping doubled stripes of lawn wrapping, as they look more expressive to my mind. That's why I've decided to pass on to such doubled wrapping. How do I do? In the first row, where I'm supposed to make 4 short coils, I act as follows. I reach the long stitch and perform 1 long coil before it, then a short one above it, and then a long stitch after it again. In this case I perform 2 short coils instead of 4. Then a long stitch again. Actually what we've done is replacing 4 short coils with a long stitch, 2 short one and 1 more long one. And continue weaving this way. Take a look please. A long stitch, 2 short ones, a long one, transition. Where there was supposed to be 4 short coils, I've got a long one, 2 short ones and a long one again. Continue weaving the row this way. Further we continue adding 1 more coil in each following row. Here there were 2 coils. Now I've got 3 coils. After I've passed on to double wrapping, now my task is to increase the number of coils in each following row. I mean, in the current row I make 3 coils above 2 coils of the previous row. And repeat the double long stitch. A few words on tube lengthening. At first I used to connect the tubes of the base in our traditional way. You don't necessarily have to glue them, just adjoining is quite enough. After you make a couple of coils, the joint is fastened strong enough. So perform 3 short coils, then alternate a long coil, a short coil and a long coil again. Such double long stitches are going to shape a stripe like this. Between the lines I've got short coils. Note please that this type of weaving is different from rote weaving. It is decorative but less strong. The more short coils you make, the more flexible your weaving is. Sure, the treatment makes the item stronger. Take a look please. Here I've got a pattern like this. At first I didn't understand what I needed this weaving technique for, since there are traditional weaving styles. However, every artist is learning for new shapes and techniques and experiments. So what has attracted me to this technique is first of all its nice look, then its mobility. I mean, you can take a batch of tubes, glue, scissors and a barbecue skewer, and you can weave anywhere without a base, a form or a desk. So it is very convenient to practice in the outdoors, as you can weave for a while, leave, and get back to your daily business. A few words on the front and the wrong side. Even though this type of weaving is double-sided, everyone knows that there is always a front side and the wrong side where the pattern is less clear. I've concluded that while weaving a plate or a more or less flat dish, I continue weaving in the same very way, lifting the edges a little. But if you are weaving a jewel box, for example, it is not too convenient. So in this case I finish a round bottom and weave the sides in the opposite direction, which is easier for me. I place the working tubes vertically and start wrapping in the vertical direction. Let me draw your attention to my failures to help you avoid them. At first I've tried weaving spiral-like. However, when I've finished, I've got such an inaccurate point. I've tried smoothing it manually, but I failed to. So I dislike the result. Besides, other weavers recommend to perform wrapping by rows. This way you will avoid such an ugly joint. You weave a row, finish it. In this type of weaving it is not difficult at all. Weave the following row, finish wrapping, hide the tube carefully, and join the next tube. This way you make the item look much neater, with no sharp transition at the top. This particular item has been decorated with a trimmed edge. As for this item, I've painted it manually. For some reason I felt like painting a bit. Well, I believe it is a bit excessive, but I'd like to try all the possible options. At first I've woven it like this, after which I've decided to try and make some painting with wood stain. I haven't succeeded in weaving such a multicolor pattern so far. The only pattern I've tried is like this. Each row has been woven with tubes of a different color. I like the result, so I'm planning to continue mastering the technique. So I've woven the bottom of a required size. Here I've got 6 short coils between the long ones already. I've reached the end of the row and led the tail of the working tube through the previous coil, carefully and pressed. I'm going to cut and glue the tail later, smoothen the bottom, and it's ready. I'd like this side to be the front side of my bottom. Now I'm starting to add vertical rows to the bottom top. The tubes of the base are supposed to be doubled, so I take 2 tubes, adjoin them at any point and start normal wrapping. I try my best to place the new coils above the coils of the bottom in order to continue the pattern. That's why I'm leading a tube through this loop. It is where I'm going to start. A long coil, a short one. A long coil again. It is going through here. And then 6 short coils follow, just like in the previous row. I'm not going to increase the number of coils further. I'm going to perform 6 short coils in each row. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's lead a tube through the gap between the coils. As a result, we are going to get a pattern like this. Let me show you the way I finish the row. Cut the tube tails carefully. Well, it is the way I do, but maybe you'll find a better option. Insert the tails carefully into the coil. Drop some glue to fasten them. And finish wrapping. The tubes are getting drier, but not too dry yet. One, two, three. I'm making the 4th coil already. I try my best to start and finish the row in different points every time, in order to avoid weak points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got to make one more coil, after which I'm leading a working tube carefully through the coil in order to fasten the tail. Smoothen the pattern, lead the tube out downward. You can even lead it on the outside. Let's take a look where to insert the tail. Let's do it here. And hide the tail from the wrong side. Or you can fasten the tail in some different way. As you can see, the joints of the previous row are hardly visible. They are easy to hide. As a result, I've got vertical weaving like this. Well, if you don't like to bother, you can weave spirally in circle. In this case, you can decorate the edge with some decorative trimming. We're going to discuss the types of edge decoration next time. There can be many options, both lacy and normal. We'll get back to the topic later. I'd like to note that this type of weaving is not cost-effective, as it requires much tube consumption. However, as for different options of patterns, both single color and multicolor, it is very useful. I wish you to master new interesting patterns and to make all your creative ideas real.